Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello friends, welcome to this lecture series of BSc with Chemistry, discipline specific elective of quantum chemistry, spectroscopy and photochemistry. In this lecture, we will be discussing electron spin resonance spectroscopy. So friends, electron spin resonance spectroscopy ESR, or the same is known as electron paramagnetic resonance spectroscopy, that is EPR spectroscopy. It was discovered by the Soviet physicist Zavoisky in 1944. This year is just an year before the discovery of NMR by Bloch and Purcell. NMR and ESR that way are very much similar in principle. However, in NMR, what we observe the NMR in the radio frequency region, and the ESR particularly is observed in the microwave region. And the system that can be investigated using ESR must possess an unpaired electron, say of D or F kind of electrons. And most importantly, the ESR technique can be used in the detection of extremely short-lived transient free radical intermediates in the particularly chemical reactions. And that is what is the biggest advantage of this particular technique. And therefore, if we see the definition of ESR, we can say that when a molecule of a solid exhibits paramagnetism as a result of the unpaired electron spins, the transitions can be induced between the spin states by applying a magnetic field and then supplying the electromagnetic energy, which is usually in the range of microwave range of frequencies, and then the resulting absorption spectra as described as the electron spin resonance or the electron paramagnetic resonance. Basically, if you look at the experimental setup of this particular ESR spectroscopy, the microwave radiation source we use is of klystron, and this klystron, or instead of that we can use a gun oscillator as well, and usually a sample is placed in this cavity where the microwave is transmitted through a waveguide. A DC magnetic field and a sweeping circuit for changing the magnetic field is usually used, and apart from that, whatever output we get to record the absorption, a detection system, basically a rectifier in the form of a crystal for measuring the absorption is used. And we also need a data acquisition system and a phase sensitive signals processing unit to analyze the data. We also need a computer to control the magnet as well as the storing of the data. So this is what is particularly, in short, the construction of the instrumentation for ESR technique. Let us try to understand what is ESR, or electron spin resonance spectroscopy, in principle. Now we all know that an electron possesses a spin, which is denoted as S, and the value of it is half. And the magnetic moment associated with this spin is given by particularly this equation, that is mu is equal to minus GE into mu B into S. And this GE is the Landé's G factor and mu B is the Bohr magneton. And the value of this G is usually taken as 2.0023. It is approximately around 2. And your Bohr magneton is nothing but mu B is equal to E into H upon 4 pi into ME. This is a standard expression for it. Now this E is the electronic charge and ME is the mass of electron. Now the energy associated with the electron spin in the magnetic field, what we apply, that is say Bz, since it is aligned along the z-axis, we represent it as Bz. It is given by this energy is equal to minus mu into Bz. Now the component of spin S along the field direction, that is Ms, is represented, and therefore your energy will always be given by you with the previous knowledge. We can substitute the value of this mu over here, and we can have the energy in terms of the spin of electron, that is equal to Ge into mu b into Bz into Ms. Now this Ms can have two values, plus half and minus half, because this spin is clockwise or anti-clockwise, or we can say parallel or anti-parallel. And corresponding to these two values of Ms, I can have two values of these energies, that is E half, E plus half and E minus half. So it will, for E plus half, we have energy value equivalent to half Ge into mu b into Bz, and for minus half, we have minus half Ge into mu b into Bz. That means it shows clearly that energy is splitting into two parts. That means the degenerate state is now vanishing and your degeneracy is breaking in this case. So in this ESR also, like in NMR, in absence of magnetic field, the two energy states are degenerate basically earlier, and this degeneracy is removed as soon as you apply the magnetic field. And this is separated by the energy difference, that is delta E, which is equal to h nu, and this is Ge, this is equivalent to Ge into mu b into Bz. And the peak corresponding to this difference of energy is represented in ESR. However, in ESR, it is little different from NMR, that we represent the ESR peak as a force derivative. We will see it in the next slide. Now, let us have a look at a hyperfine splitting. As in NMR, the ESR spectrum can be represented by plotting the intensity against the strength of the applied field. But in ESR, the spectra are commonly presented as the derivative curves, just now what I was talking. And that is actually the first derivative of absorption curve, which are plotted against this strength of the magnetic field. So in ESR, spectrum actually exhibits the hyperfine splitting, which is caused by the interaction between the spinning electron and adjacent spinning magnetic nuclei. So when a single electron interacts with one nuclei, the number of splitting basically will be 2i plus 1 or 2ni plus 1, where your I is the spin quantum number of the nucleus. So in general, if a single electron interacts with the n equivalent nuclei, the electron signal will split into 2ni plus 1 multiplets, isn't it? If I want to take the example, I'll take the example of, say, hydrogen atom. It has one proton and one electron. So the proton has spin, that is I is equal to half for the proton, and in absence of magnetic field, the single electron of hydrogen is with the spin half. So it particularly gives doubly degenerate state, and as soon as you apply magnetic field, the doubly degenerate state, that this degeneracy will remove, and you will immediately get two energy levels like this, one corresponding to minus half spin of electron and other corresponds to plus half spin of the electron, isn't it? So one of them is aligned to the field and the other is obviously opposed to the field, and thus the spectrum will give a single peak. But when the interaction between the two energy states and the nuclear spin due to the proton is considered, each energy state is further split into two energy levels corresponding to, say, Mi is equal to plus half and Mi is equal to minus half. isn't it? And thus the corresponding two energy states will produce 4 different energy levels. You can see here. So which means that the ESR spectrum of hydrogen would consist of 2 peaks corresponding to 2 transitions which are shown over here. You can see here. And if you that way look at this formula of this energy, you can be very sure if I substitute the value of ms and mi. So if you take plus half and plus half, so this will correspond to, this is plus half and this is plus half. So plus half will become, this is 1 by 4, and therefore the the topmost value of energy will be plus half g into mu b into bz plus 1 upon 4 into a. Likewise, if I go on substituting the value, I'll get the energy values in this fashion, and therefore correspondingly I get these 2 peaks as shown over here. So the number of splitting, basically, in order to conclude here, the number of splittings will be, if the single electron interacts with the one nuclei, I get 2ni plus 1 values, that is I is the spin quantum number of the nucleus. But if the number of splitting will be giving, like if the single electron interacts with n equivalent nuclei, if the n is greater than 1, so you can have this 2ni plus 1. Say if n is 2 and spin is half, so it will be, you will be getting 3 peaks and so on, isn't it? So this hyperfine splitting is that way going to play a very important role as in NMR. In ESR also, it will play a very important role in understanding the spectrum which we obtained in ESR spectroscopy. This is what we have seen earlier in NMR spectroscopy, that is Pascal triangle. So for the relative intensity, I is equal to half of the nucleus. So whenever you have a nucleus and its spin is half, so corresponding relative intensities will be represented by this Pascal triangle, and it is represented by the binomial which is given like this. So if I have n is equal to 0, I can have a single peak. If I have n is equal to 1, I can have 1:1 peak. If I have n is equal to 2, so corresponding to 2ni plus 1, I have 3 peaks. If n is equal to 3, corresponding to 2ni plus 1, I have 4 peaks, and so on. So basically, all in all, the relative intensities are determined basically by the number of interacting nuclei, number 1. And if only one nucleus is interacting, then all the lines will have equal intensities. You can see here. So if in addition to that, if multiple nuclei are interacting, then the distributions are derived which are based on the spins of the nuclei. And say for spin half, which is the most common, the intensities follows this kind of binomial distribution. That is what this is similar to what we have seen in NMR spectroscopy. Let us try to analyze the ESR spectra of methyl radical, which is very simple one. So in methyl radical, you have an electron and 3 protons which are present over here, isn't it? And therefore, initially, when there is no magnetic field, so you have doubly degenerate state. Now, in presence of magnetic field, this splitting of the degeneracy is seen. But now each of the proton, that is nucleus spin, will interact with the electron spin, isn't it? And therefore, if I try to summarize, or if I try to see the overall effect of coupling, that means the interaction of electron spin with each of the proton spin, then the external magnetic field plus magnetic effect of the proton will give me these splittings further. Like for since there are 3 protons, so I can have the values for mi like plus 3 by 2, plus 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2, and minus 3 by 2 correspondingly. And therefore the alignment of these spins will be like, see here, all the 3 up, then 2 up, 1 down, and their combination, then 1 up, 2 down, and their combination, and then all the 3 down. So corresponding to that, if you see the difference 1, 2, 3, and 4 stages, so I'm going to get 4 peaks here. You can see corresponding to this, I can have the 4 peaks corresponding to this. And if you apply the formula 2ni plus 1, you are going to get, since this n is equal to 3, so you are getting 2ni, that is 2 into 3 into half plus 1, that is 4. So you are getting 4 peaks in case of methyl radical, that is being explained over here, which is a very simple case. Similarly, if you look at the ESR spectra of say 1,4-benzosemiquinone, now its structure is like this, isn't it? So you can see that there are 4 protons which are present over here. So now in this case, there will be interaction of this electronic spin with the 4 of the protons, and therefore the value for Mi is going to be like +2, +1, 0, -1 and -2. And since the splitting will be corresponding to 2Ni plus 1, so 2 into 4 into half plus 1, is it? And therefore there we are going to get the 5 peaks. See corresponding, their intensities are also being calculated over here. 1:4:6:4:1. You can see the absorptive mode and the derivative mode. See, this absorptive mode is not very clear, and therefore in ESR it is always preferred to have the derivative mode wherein all the peaks are very clear. So for the sake of convenience, we have tried to show over here. See, 1:4:6:4:1 is the intensity of the peak, and which are obtained over here. So at higher temperature, since all of them they have faster motions, and therefore sharper lines will get, and the shorter if they have the shorter lifetime, and therefore smaller signals they will give, isn't it? So this is what is the case with the 1,4-semi-benzoquinone. So we can go on continuing with this kind of analysis. So if I know the nuclei with their spins and with the number of lines, I can calculate actually. I know their abundance. So here are some nuclei with their isotopes which are written, their nuclear spins, number of lines, and abundance is given over here. Say for hydrogen, I have half spin, so number of lines will be 2, and the abundance is given like this. For nitrogen, there are two isotopes, N14 and 15. So for 14 nitrogen, we have nuclear spin 1, and for 15 nitrogen, we have spin half, and that is going to make difference. Likewise, for vanadium, we have 7/2 spin, manganese 5/2, iron 1/2, cobalt 7/2, nickel 3/2, copper 3/2. There are two isotopes, 60, copper 63, copper 65. Both of them, they have got 3/2 spin. Molybdenum 95, 97, they have 5/2 spins. And correspondingly, their lines can be obtained. Apart from that, if your nuclei has got spin equivalent to 1, so if you have value of I is equal to 1, so your Pascal triangle will behave in this fashion. So for 0n, you have got single peak. For 1 proton, you have got 3 peaks. That is, they will be 1:1:1. For n is equal to 2, you have got the peaks standards like 1:2, or intensity of peaks will be 1:2, 2:3, 2:1. You can see here. For n is equal to 3, you can see that the peaks will be say 1:3:6:7:6:3:1. And likewise, you can go on saying for n is equal to 4, you can have intensity peaks like 1:4:10:16:19:16:10:4:1, and so on. You can go on calculating, and these number of peaks will be governed by, again, this formula, it is 2Ni plus 1. So now let us follow some general rules for analyzing the ESR spectrum. So if a free radical contains n number of non-equivalent protons onto which the electron is delocalized, a spectrum consisting of 2 to the power n lines will arise, and which is corresponding to the spin state of Mi is equal to plus minus half, and that too for n number of protons. Similarly, if the odd electron is delocalized over number n of equivalent proton, a total of n plus 1 lines, that is 2Ni plus 1 that we have seen, will appear in the spectrum. And this number is less than the number expected in non-equivalent proton, that is 2 to the power n, which is quite obvious because several of the possible arrangements of nuclear spins are degenerate in this case. And therefore, the spectrum of methyl radical contains the 4 peaks expected from these consideration that we have seen, isn't it? Also, apart from this, if the odd electron is delocalized over a 2 set of non-equivalent protons, then the number of lines expected is the product of number of lines expected for each of the individual set. What I mean to say is, if there are I number of protons, J number of protons, nuclei which are present, so number of peaks expected in case of I type of protons, number of peaks expected in case of J type of protons, and their product will give you the total number of protons, that is 2ni plus 1 into 2mj plus 2mij plus 1. So their multiplied, their product will give the peak. We will see the nice example of naphthalene anion in this category. If the electron is delocalized on the nuclei with the spin greater than half, a procedure which is very similar to that of protons can be applied to calculate the number of peaks expected. This we will see during the numerical. And if the electron is delocalized over several non-equivalent atoms, then the total number of peaks expected is obtained by taking the product of numbers expected for each atom. So these are some of the general rules, and we are going to utilize the general rules for solving some numericals. Let us take this numerical of vanadium acetylacetonate. Now in this case, what we have say nuclear spin is equivalent to I is equal to 7 by 2, that we have seen in table. For vanadium, I is equal to 7 by 2. And what is our formula for peaks? 2ni plus 1. So if I substitute this value, so 2 into 1 into 7 by 2 plus 1, that is 8. So since there is only one nuclei, so all the intensities of the peaks will be all same 1:1 pattern, and therefore we expect 8 lines of equal intensity, and therefore you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So the vanadium acetylacetonate will give ESR spectrum like this, 8 peaks of equal intensity. Similarly, if we go for analyzing the benzene radical anion, in this case you can see the electron is delocalized over all 6 carbon atoms, is it? And therefore it exhibits coupling to 6 equivalent hydrogen atoms. And therefore according to 2ni plus 1 formula, you have 2 into 6 into half plus 1, that is 7. And therefore this spectrum will consist of 7 lines, and their intensity will be of the pattern 1:6:15:20:15:15:6:1. So 1:6:15:20:15:6:1, and this is how typically the benzene radical anion ESR spectrum will appear. Let us move on further. In case of pyrazine anion, very interesting case, because there are two non-equivalent protons are present over here, isn't it? You can see over here and here, you can see here, you can see here, these hydrogens are there. So A kind and B kind non-equivalent protons are there, and therefore electron delocalized over the ring, they will exhibit the coupling to the 2 equivalent nitrogen, and for which the I is equal to 1, and therefore according to formula 2 and I plus 1, it will give 2 into 2 into 1 plus 1, that is 5. So you are expecting quintet for this, for the electron which is delocalizing over this pair of nuclei, isn't it? And then the couple these of the quintets, they couples to the 4 equivalent hydrogens, or so 4 equivalent protons which are present over here, isn't it? And therefore according to this, for this proton of hydrogen, you have I is equal to half, and therefore according to 2 and I plus 1, you can have 2 into 4 into half plus 1, that is 5. And therefore the spectrum should be quintet with the intensities of 1:2:3:2:1, and each of those lines should be split into quintets with the intensities 1:4:6:4:1. That means it is a quintet of quintet, that means 5 into 5. If you see 2ni plus 1 and 2nij plus 1, 5 into 5 will give 25 lines. If you count, there are exactly 25 lines, which is super hyperfine spectrum kind of thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So there are exactly 25 peaks in this pyrazine anion. So therefore you can understand the hyperfine splitting using these general rules. Moving ahead, if the odd unpaired electron is associated with the nucleus, with the nuclear spin, can we get coupling between the 2 spins and observe 2i plus 1 peaks or valleys? So let us take example of di-tertiary butyl nitro oxide radical, for which the I is equal to 1, and therefore you can very easily see there we obtain the 3 peaks, and we have got the 3 peaks over here. Similarly, I can get here for the very interesting case of naphthalene. Now this spectra seems to be very complicated in this case. If you look at this naphthalene, how many types of environment are present over here? See, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this is same environment. So alpha kind of alpha, 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 alpha if I represent. So this is one environment. And then beta, 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 beta. This is second environment. So these protons they are in one environment, and these protons they are in one environment. So my electron is going to interact with this space as well as this particular proton, isn't it? And therefore how many number of peaks I can expect? So this, since there are 4 protons over here, so I can get 5 peaks. So I expect quintet over here, and then it couples with these 4 protons, and therefore again quintet. So my peak will be quintet of quintet, and which is of the fashion I can expect. So if you see that this is one quintet which is representing, see, 6 is to 24 is to 36 is to 24 is to 6. Then you can see there is other quintet which is 6 is to 24 is to 36 is to 24 is to 6. Then there are 2 quintets. You can see this is 4 is to 16 is to 24 is to 16 is to 4. Similarly, the other quintet. And there are 2 these quintet, 1 is to 4 is to 6 is to 4 is to 1. Again, this kind of quintet. So in all, if you count that way, this is actually the super hyper fine splitting in this case of naphthalene which we are getting, and which comes out to be very interesting case and very interesting analysis based on whatever general rules we have seen in the ESR spectrum. And therefore particularly this case becomes very interesting in ESR spectroscopy to study, because it gives all the aspects which we are supposed to cover in ESR. This is basically the super hyperfine coupling. So friends, ESR spectroscopy provides a powerful tool for the study of chemical species with the unpaired electrons. It gives the information not only on the presence and number of such electrons as can be often studied by the measurements of paramagnetism, but it also gives the idea about the distribution of unpaired electron in the molecule. And therefore we can see certain of the important applications in ESR studies, and those are, we can study the organometallic compounds and the transition metal complexes using the ESR. Since basically the D and F shales of the transition metal groups gives ESR signal, we can take example like copper 2 complexes. In copper 2 complexes there is a D9 system which gives a strong ESR signal, whereas in case of the copper 1, that is D10 system, the complex will give greatly reduced signal, and therefore you can identify whether the system belongs to copper 2 complex or copper 1 complex, that is whether it belongs to D9 system or D10 system. That is one of the vital use of this particular study or spectroscopy. Apart from that, you can analyze the reaction velocities and mechanism. So the reactions which are basically proceeding by the radical mechanism, which can be studied very easily using ESR. Actually the measurement on how radical concentrations vary with time during these reactions is really important aspect from the industrial point of view, and therefore this ESR can aid a very vital role in determining the mechanism of such reactions, in which the live radical mechanism is to be studied. Apart from that, the effect of ionizing radiation on matter can also be studied, like the electron resonance measurement of the effect of radiation on polymers can be studied using this. Basically the irradiation of polyethylene with the gamma ray yields into 7-line pattern, which can be shown on the basis of ESR technique, and which is very useful in the industrial application and their quality. Apart from that, in rubber industry also, this ESR spectroscopy can be used because it is comparatively proportional. ESR peaks are comparatively proportional to the burning of the carbon. Apart from that, the structural information we can get using the ESR spectrum, and this particularly hyperfine splitting of the ESR spectrum will give you what is the structural framework of the molecule, because by looking at the hyperfine splitting pattern, we can claim that what kind of environment is present in the particular case. These are a few of the applications of the ESR spectroscopy. So friends, here we have come to the end of this particular topic. So thank you friends.